Our story starts with a special raid team assembled at the entrance to the demon realm. Hunters in a camp are preparing and checking their supplies and positions. Some hunters converse and mention the large number of participants, which makes them nervous. However, they are reassured by the presence of the Flying Tiger sect, known for zero casualties in their raids. One hunter expresses a desire to be scouted by the sect but questions if his current class is suitable. Overhearing their conversation is our protagonist, Gangrim, who has a different perspective on how the Flying Tiger sect selects its members. Gangrim wonders why he was scouted if class selection is significant. He feels gloomy as his class, tertiary insectile grade, is at the bottom. Gangrim is a member of the Flying Tiger sect. 5 years ago, after the awakening, everyone's abilities were determined based on their Bazi destinies, which are predetermined by the time and day of birth. Gangrim considers destiny nonsense until approached by someone on his first annihilation mission. The person asks if Gangrim is from the Flying Tiger sect and reveals they are on the same team. Gangrim assumes the person is a newbie for approaching him. However, the group Gangrim overheard earlier warns the person about his identity. The person becomes terrified upon hearing Gangrim's name and making eye contact, as Gangrim expected. It is rumored that Gangrim killed his teammates and stole their powers. Only a few people come back when they're on the same team as him. Gangrim's fate is always tied to death, and you will be unlucky if you are part of his team. Such rumors were spread because of Gangrim's powers. Gangrim opened his status window by calling out Destiny Window. His powers are then shown. The first is Destiny Detection, which can check others' Destiny windows and your own. The second is Destiny Stealing. You will be able to extract the dead person's destiny and own it, but this will add to your karma. Both powers are tertiary draconic grade. With his powers and many of his teammates also injured, Gangrim blames himself for his unlucky destiny. Destiny is divided into 5 classes: divine, draconic, humanly, and insectile. Gangrim, a tertiary insectile grade, is the lowest class. Despite his class, he is unable to defeat other awakened individuals. Feeling upset, Gangrim is approached by Yu Harang, a tertiary divine class and member of the Flying Tiger sect, who invites him to a dinner party. Jang Tihun, a secondary ghostly grade, also wants Gangrim to attend. Gangrim declines, and Harang assumes it's because people fear him. Before leaving, Harang and Tihun try to convince Gangrim again but are interrupted by Kang Do-un, a secondary humanly grade and Flying Tiger sect member, who reminds them of the mission and their positions. As they depart, Do-un approaches Gangrim and expresses concern for his well-being. Gangrim thanks him and wishes to fight alongside them. As they were preparing for the raid, monsters came out of it and thus started the fight. Each hunter showed their unique abilities. Gangrim and the rear group are handling the low-class monsters. Gangrim, who is breathing heavily, suspected the cause to be demonic energy. He was then attacked in the back and surrounded by monsters. He was then saved by Shin-Sua, a tertiary divine class and the mistress of the Flying Tiger sect. All of the hunters then heard a loud noise and suspected it to be the boss. A huge elephant-like monster then showed up in front. As it was about to go on a rampage, the monster was cut in half. The person who cut the monster in half asked about Gangrim. All of them are confused, especially Gangrim. Since the person could not find Gangrim faster, she then drew out her sword and killed everyone. After defeating the boss monster, the individual inquired about Gangrim. Curious about why she was searching for him, Gangrim checked her status using Destiny Detection. He discovered that her name was Baekhyun, and she was a primary divine grade, which surprised Gangrim as he had never seen that class before. Her power, called regression, allowed her to regress to the past while retaining her current memories, but it couldn't be used after death. With knowledge of Baekhyun's information, Gangrim wanted to speak to her, hoping she had information about him. However, a large tree vine blocked his path, and he heard a whisper, instructing him to stay still. Recognizing the whispering technique, Gangrim realized it was not his place to intervene. Sua approached Baekhyun and inquired why she was looking for Gangrim. In response, Baekhyun asked if she was Gangrim. Sua informed her that she was a member of their sect and could speak on his behalf. Baekhyun, no longer interested in conversing, proceeded to kill the members of the Annihilation Raid, assuming Gangrim was among them. Enraged, Sua attacked her. Gangrim grew concerned for everyone's safety. Since Baekhyun was searching for him, he wanted to confront her himself before it was too late. He could only hack away at the vine that protected him to escape. Everyone else was fleeing while Sua fought Baekhyun alone. Baekhyun proposed sparing the others if they handed over Gangrim. Sua responded with another attack, determined not to let more members of their sect die. Upon hearing Sua's answer, Baekhyun countered with a powerful attack, severely injuring Sua. Other members of the Flying Tiger sect launched a surprise attack against Baekhyun, but were met with overwhelming force and speed. Do-eun and Taehyun could only distract her briefly before meeting their demise. The raid members panicked, unable to escape due to a barrier created by Baekhyun. Gangrim could only hear their screams as he cut through the vine and fell. As he tried to stand up, he noticed the pool of blood and lifeless bodies surrounding him. Baekhyun approached him slowly, confirming his identity as Gangrim. Realizing he was too late, Gangrim blamed himself for their deaths. Baekhyun prepared to end his life when Sua intervened once again. With huge vines sprouting from the ground, Sua lunged at Baekhyun in an attack. Filled with rage, Sua warned her not to harm any more members of their sect. Confused, Baekhyun argued that if Gangrim had been handed over earlier, the others would still be alive. Baekhyun's sword pierced Sua's chest. Using her remaining strength, Sua grasped Baekhyun's hand and reminded her that it was her duty to protect a sect member. Sua unleashed all of her remaining power, employing the whisper technique to inform Gangrim that the barrier was undone. As she was about to tell him to run, Sua lost her life. Gangrim pondered why it was Sua who died instead of him. A status window appeared before him, asking if he wished to use destiny stealing. Overwhelmed with grief, Gangrim activated his power. The status window informed him of the number of dead bodies and asked whose destinies he wished to steal. Gangrim tearfully replied that he would steal all 421 destinies. While in the midst of absorption, the status window displayed the check for which destinies could be stolen. Surrounded by all 421 destinies, Gangrim remained furious. The status window then warned him that due to his low magic rank, only one condition could be extracted. As he continued to blame himself, the status window informed him that due to an influx of targets, destinies would be randomly extracted. Gangrim's magic increased as he absorbed portions of the target's magic. He gained multiple abilities: Blooming White Flower, Hidden Form Technique, Thousand Weighted Axe, Air Walking, and Tree Leaf Method. His water attribute resistance also increased, reflecting on how others blamed him and the friendships he had with Hwarang and Taehyun. Gangrim held his destiny responsible for everyone's death. Baekhyun found Gangrim's destiny intriguing. As she prepared to kill Gangrim, he launched an attack that surprised her. Baekhyun managed to block the second attack despite taking damage. In a frenzy, Gangrim continued to relentlessly attack Baekhyun. Thirsting for revenge, he activated the abilities Master of the Sword, Hawseye, and Reflexes. He was able to match Baekhyun's skill level. Gangrim then activated the skills Golden Buddha, Harden, Pain Resistance, and Air Walking, enabling him to withstand the damage and evade serious attacks from Baekhyun. Positioning himself above Baekhyun, Gangrim noticed an opening and activated the skill Thousand Weighted Axe. Baekhyun anticipated his move and blocked the attack by activating her own skill. She then used Summoned Icicle to not only block Gangrim's attack but also injure him. Gangrim landed in a pool of blood, frustrated with his inability to effectively utilize the stolen destinies. He was grateful that some skills activated automatically, but with a broken sword and battered body, he realized he couldn't take full advantage of the obtained abilities. Gangrim was enraged that even after stealing 421 destinies, he still couldn't kill Baekhyun. Baekhyun summoned multiple ice shards and launched them towards Gangrim, thinking that, if only he could understand the abilities, he might have a chance. Gangrim remembered there was one ability he fully comprehended. However, he was struck in the leg by an ice shard, causing immense pain. Baekhyun then lectured Gangrim about his destiny and how he was meant to die. Assessing the situation, Gangrim pulled out the shard from his leg and activated the ability Tree Leaf Method. Baekhyun managed to predict the attack, evaded it, and deflected it. As she cut through the vines summoned by Gangrim, she assumed he was merely a swordsman. To her surprise, she discovered that Gangrim was well versed in spells. She also realized that spells like the Tree Leaf Method would be challenging for him to maintain. Taking advantage of Baekhyun's distraction, Gangrim launched a surprise attack while she was still occupied with the vines. The attack succeeded, striking Baekhyun in the back. Gangrim successfully killed Baekhyun, obtaining the revenge he sought. However, he landed on one of the lifeless bodies and coughed up blood, realizing that his injuries were worsening. The automatic regeneration ability activated, but he promptly cancelled it. Sitting in a pool of blood, he pondered the purpose of living when everyone else was gone. In a flashback to Gangrim's youth, he was told that his destiny was filled with perseverance and death. He would lose his parents, and his life would be plagued by misfortune, causing suffering to those around him. Thoughts flooded his mind, contemplating if everyone would have been saved if he had died earlier. If only he could turn back time. He then remembered Baekhyun's skill, Regression. Without hesitation, Gangrim stole the skill from her. Uncertain about the outcome or where he would end up, he activated the Regression skill, hoping for the best. In a blinding light, Gangrim found himself sitting, holding a pad Confused by the situation, a familiar face entered the room and asked for their horoscope to be read. Trembling, Gangrim felt thankful as the regression had been successful. A couple walked into the room and were asking for their horoscope to be read. Seeing that the woman is Sua, Gangrim is very thankful. He then promised himself that he will not let that incident happen again. He then asked for the couple to write their name, date of birth and time on the pad. As Sua is writing her information, he noticed that she looked uncomfortable around him. He then remembered that Sua mentioned to him before that he was involved with a weird guy before. He then continued and explained their compatibility. The man is a solid gold type while Sua is a solid wood type. With his own version, he explained how incompatible they both are. Both were surprised by what Gangrim said, but Sua looked more happy and relaxed. The man, who is now angry, accused Gangrim of a fraud and asked for the owner. He responded that the owner was at the counter. He then wishes for them to leave, but Sua wishes to stay and get her horoscope read. Angry at Sua, he asked if she could ever meet a man like him. He was then told by Gangrim of the exit's location. After leaving, Sua thought the place only reads good things in life. She then wishes for her fortune to be read, which he then agrees. As both of them are having a happy conversation, a blinding light came from above. They then hear an announcement that their status is then calculated based on their destiny. Gangrim, who expected what was happening, he couldn't do anything aside from enduring the ringing and dizziness. Sua then shouted at him asking what he was doing and got down under the table. In the past, Sua protected him. Now he needs to focus to change the future. After the sudden earthquake, Gangrim then immediately left the room. He then thought that it would be best if doesn't get involved with Sua anymore, as he was looking in the room hoping that he could find something that was useful. He was able to find something but immediately hid it after hearing Sua's voice. Sua grabbed Gangrim and looked for a way to get out of the building. They then heard a scream, followed by people fleeing and shouting that there were monsters. A man was bitten by a worm-like monster and asked for help. Sua, who was overwhelmed by the situation, wanted to help but couldn't do anything. Gangrim immediately used the knife he found and killed the monster. Gangrim expected the monster to appear. It is called gigantic worm and is a tertiary insectile grade. He then instructed everyone to get to a safe place. Gangrim eliminated the giant worms one by one. By cutting its head, he was able to kill the last of the giant worms. Hearing a scream, he did not notice that there was still more in the other direction. He then instructed the people to hold on to something if they wish to live. As he was about to explain that the monsters are not that strong, he then saw Sua killing one using a fire extinguisher. With a bright smile on her face, she told everyone that the monsters are not really strong. Gangrim could only laugh, knowing that the person who is capable of killing dragons is happy killing worms. Gangrim then instructed everyone to use the stairs since it had been cleared. While the people are thanking him and going to the stairs, Gangrim is opening the worm's body and collecting spirit pearls. Even though it is a lower grade, he did not expect for it to be many. Sua then came back for him and asked what he was doing. Gangrim asked why she came back, to which she responded that she couldn't leave him behind. Knowing Sua's attitude, he asked if she was worried about someone she just met today. When Gangrim heard her response, he then knew that she could be trusted. He then called out her name and with the intention of telling her the whole truth. Will Sua believe Gangrim's story? Find out more by hitting the subscribe button and the bell for more videos.